Sporting Journal Radio, presented by Onyx.
All right, now it's time to head up to Lake of the Woods to check in with Joe Henry from Lake of the Wood Tourism. Joe, how you doing?
Hey, Brett, doing good?
Good. Happy Thanksgiving.
And ditto. And to all the listeners, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
You got big plans this week?
You know, just spending time with family. Yeah, no, nothing real crazy. Just real thankful for everything that's going on. We were blessed with my daughter had a baby, so I'm a grandpa.
Oh, nice. And, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And Daisy's doing really good. The baby's doing well, and of course, so is Dad. So, no, that's you know what. Talk about giving thanks and having gratitude and spending time with loved ones. Just really trying to tone her down and take a deep breath and just appreciate everything that we do have, right?
Well, what are you hearing about Lake of the Woods right now? Because we are building ice across the state quickly. Now, we did have a little bit of a warm up here this week, but so far it seems like, anyway, in a lot of areas, I don't want to speak for most, and I don't want to say all ice is safe, obviously use a lot of caution. It's still early for me to be out there, but there are guys that are ice fishing around the state of Minnesota already.
Well, so what we have going on is we have obviously our resorts and outfitters are checking ice conditions, and in Lake of the Woods normally it starts out with a back base first. You're going to go tip up fishing for pike and then go spearing for pike, and resorts are checking that stuff out. They're even cautioning right now just to stay off of that. Now that can change from day to day if we get a cold snap. It can lock things up even tighter so that one day they say it's not okay, the next day it is. So you really need to just be dialed in with. If you want to go do that kind of fishing, be dialed in with the resorts or outfitters that will be marking a trail out for that. It's not quite there yet. I can tell you the big basin is probably 2/3 or 3/4 ice covered. That's good news. Up at the northwest angle, lots of ice. Some open areas yet, which is normally the way it goes. But things are getting locked up and things are happening. And it's so far it's looking good. I saw a report from Bostic Bay. Said that some of the snow on the ice, there was a big wind that blew water in, and the water flooded the ice again and made the ice real solid. So there's no snow on it. That was good news. So, you know what? A lot can happen between now and when actually things get ready to roll. But I'll tell you, I say it every year. Lake of the Woods is big ice, and you can have one area that outfitters are letting you out, and then you're ice fishing. You can have another area that gets pockets of open water because the way things froze or blew open. So you just really, it can happen different every year. You just really need to work with each ice outfitter and resort owner. They're out there on that ice every day. They're drilling holes, they're flooding ice, they're marking trails away from the bad ice conditions. The other thing is when you go out ice fishing at first, don't go venturing off the trails. Everybody thinks that, gosh, I don't want to get away from the traffic. Well, sometimes that's a good strategy, but use a trail to get out to the fishing grounds and then communicate with the outfitter or resort that, hey, once I get out to, let's say 23 feet of water as an example, if I venture off, is that okay if I go to the sides? And they're going to let you know, yes, it is. No, it's not. There's open pockets. Really, we want you to stay tight to the trail. But again, that's where communication comes in.
So people are gearing up for ice fishing right now. I've had a bunch of people ask me about Lake of the Woods and if where they should go up there, who they should go through, and what they should bring up there. So I still haven't organized. I haven't taken any of my rods or tackle out yet. I did charge my electronics up though, so I am a step ahead of the game compared to where I was last year, I think. But if people are getting their gear ready and they're going to go to Lake of the Woods, Joe, and they ask you, hey, what should I bring to Lake of the Woods? What are you going to tell them?
We don't want to tell you. It really obviously depends upon if they're going to come fishing on their own and just pay an ice road access fee and go and do it on their own. You're going to need a lot more equipment, right? Or if you're going to go with a resort or an outfitter, well, then it's just a matter of coming up and renting a day house or a sleeper fish house, and that makes life really easy. The one thing I would say is this: regardless of how you fish, normally you want to use that 1-2 punch on Lake of the Woods. You get two lines, right? You're going to be fishing walleyes and saugers primarily. That's what most people are going to be doing. When you're using that 1-2 punch, you're going to have one jigging line. That line's going to be jigging with, like I say, a jigging spoon as an example with a minnow head, or a ripping wrap, or a jigging wrap, or whatever your favorite lure is. That's going to be a more aggressive hole. The second hole, you're going to have what's called a dead stick. That's going to be a bobber with a live minnow on a hook or like a walleye ice jig. And that's going to be a more subtle presentation. The whole idea is this: that jigging line is going to catch the active fish. It's going to attract fish. Even if they're not active, they'll still get attracted by all the commotion in the water. that they come in out of curiosity, instinctively. But then a lot of times those fish that are in a more neutral mode, Brett, what they'll do is they'll slide over and pay attention to that dead stick, and eventually your bobber will go down. So the 1-2 punch is really the way to go, and it's going to cover you. And then pay attention, like that dead stick. Don't just let that dead stick die all day. Lift it up once in a while, let it drop, jiggle it once in a while. On your electronics, pay attention to your jigging line. How are they reacting to what you're jigging in front of them? If what you're doing isn't working, jig differently. Do the jig and let it fall in their face. Jig and let it fall in their face. If they don't whack it, shake it like heck and hold it still. If they don't hit that, drop it down on the sand or mud and lift it up. Drop it down and lift it up like something's coming off the bottom. If they're not hitting it then reel it up. Start shaking it and reeling it up. A lot of times it's thrill the chase. They'll chase it up. Do not stop what you're doing. If they start chasing you, don't stop. Just keep reeling, keep reeling, keep reeling. I'm 6 feet off. I'm 10 feet off. Bang, you hit it 15 feet off the bottom, You just never know. But that's oftentimes what induces a strike. And really, it's a game. When those walleyes and saugers come in, you got a very short period of time to get them to react to what you're doing. If what you're doing isn't working, change it. If you're doing all the different jigging cadences and they aren't hitting, try a different size lure. Maybe downsize and go to a small minnow head. Maybe go to a different color. Maybe go from a rattle to a no rattle, or a no rattle to a rattle. Mix things up, figure out. They're going to hit. They're going to eat. It's just a matter of you getting them to eat.
Joe, I saw something come through on Facebook. Jerry Hennum passed away.
Yeah, you sure did, and just really, really sad, So Jerry Hennum, for your listeners that don't know, Jerry Hennum owned Sportsman's Lodge for a long, long time, and then most recently, Big Sportsman's Lodge was sold. Jerry's still part owner of Sportsman's Oak Island with a couple family members and others, but Jerry Hennum has been in the tourism industry up at Lake of the Woods for decades, literally decades, and just really an icon in the tourism industry up there, and he passed away last week, unfortunately. Brett, I'll tell you, Jerry was such an interesting guy. I remember so supportive of tourism. Of course, I'm always so thankful he was so supportive of me throughout the years, and just a neat guy. When you met Jerry, you didn't forget it, and just a good guy. He told me a story. He says, we were talking, and he said, back in the day, they used to have a flying service that used to fly people up and land them on the ice. And he had some sleeper fish houses up by Oak Island. He says, well, I was up at Oak Island already, and I had bombers. So if the weather was bad, so that pilot couldn't fly up and check on his people and the sleepers, he would have me go check on them in my bomber coming from the north, going down to check on them. And the one day he couldn't make it up, so he said, Jerry, when you knock on the door, you'll probably know who it is. He said, well, who is it? He goes, no, just knock on the door. You'll probably know who it is. So he went down to the sleeper fish house. He knocked on the door, and Bud Grant answered the door, former coach of the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh.
And he said he went in there and talked to those guys for a good half hour, 45 minutes, really hit it off. And ever since then, whenever he'd do a sports show down in the cities, Bud would go down and purposely look them up and hang out with them for a half hour or so and just talk fishing and hunting and stuff. And but he had. Jerry had so many different stories. He would go and work on a farm and drive a combine. He would, drive. His son Greg Hennum owns, the Lake of the Woods passenger service that goes back and forth both in the winter and summer across Lake of the Woods up to the Angle. And Jerry oftentimes would drive for that. Jerry is currently on my board of directors for Lake of the Woods Tourism, and just a first-class guy. I can't say enough about him. Really, really, really going to be missed up in the area. And I know he's in a better place now. I know he's in God's loving arms. But I tell you, to lose a man like that, it makes you think. It just really does.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. And from Sporting Journal Radio, our condolences and our thoughts are with the Hennum family.
So thank you very much.
We got a trip to Lake of the Woods planned this winter, Joe. And if somebody else wants to plan a trip to Lake of the Woods, where should they go to find more info?
You know what? We have all of our resorts, our ice outfitters, sleeper fish houses, a whole ball of wax is on our website, and that is lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Hear more at sportingjournalradio.com or wherever you get podcasts.
Come ice fish the famous waters of Minnesota's Lake of the Woods, the walleye capital of the world. Experience full-service resorts featuring heated fish houses, ice transportation, meal plans, and sleeper house options. From the northwest angle to the south shore, Rainy River in Baudette, the Midwest angle to the south shore, Rainy River in Baudette, the Midwest's #1 ice fishing destination. Walleye, sauger, perch, and northern pike. Minnesota's Lake of the Woods, best fishing anywhere. For more information, log on to lakeofthewoodsmn.com.